Welcome back, y'all. Sports and Spirits. I'm Steve.
I'm Josh.
And we are here to talk about none other than sports and spirits.
Yes, we are.
Before we get too deep into this bad boy, don't forget to like this video, maybe subscribe to the channel, and buckle up for some in-depth sports coverage as we enter into what we're going to call Week 9 of the NFL. And later in the podcast, we'll be going over... If you missed our last episode, go check it out. But we have another Pursuit United bottle of Double Oak Rye this time.
Ooh, okay. All right.
We'll be checking that out later in the episode. But without any further ado, let's jump right into the NFL.
Yeah. So welcome back, guys. So as you're watching this tonight, you will have the Miami Dolphins hosting the Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore Ravens are minus 7.5 for this game.
Correct. And that is with the expectation that hopefully we see the return of Lamar Jackson.
Truth.
It's been rumored we were supposed to see him this past week. He wasn't ready. Well, we'll find out tonight if, that rumor holds true. And then let's see if the Ravens can get right again and, get that push going for that playoff chance, because that division's weak. We've talked about it in the past. Yep. And, with the struggles that they've had in terms of the other teams in their division, Baltimore's got a good shot to sneak in on the back end, if Lamar gets hot. Yep. So we'll see. Thursday night's a good start for them, and hopefully, a shorthanded, slightly banged up Miami Dolphins team's, a team they can go in there and beat up.
Right.
So,
and then Sunday's massive slate.
Yeah, there's a lot of games on Sunday.
So last week, a lot of buys.
Right.
Not as many games. This week, it is insane.
Yeah.
Also due to the fact that they're not doing a doubleheader Monday night.
Yep.
So everything's packed
extra
right
game
into Sunday.
Well, and then that's why it begs the question, like with why people were complaining about the double Monday nights. I go, well, because otherwise, how are you going to watch all these games on Sunday? I'm going to try my best.
He'll do it too.
I will. I will try my best. But we'll see.
You got 8 games at noon.
8 games at noon. I'll watch at least 6 or 7, but I can't guarantee all 8. But I'll try, guys. But anyway, the one I'm definitely gonna be locked into, no matter what. Starting at the noon slate, you got the Vikings.
Yep.
Going on the road,
homeboys.
Against the Lions, coming off a bye,
and
the return
coming back
of J.J. McCarthy. It's going to be interesting to see. We have to give this guy some grace. Okay, so playing in the NFL in the first point, really tough. Really tough to do at a high level.
Yep.
He played 2 games. He's played 2 games. He's played against the Chicago team where he looked a little bad in the first, half, 3 quarters, but, he came back, got the win in the fourth quarter. And then we played an Atlanta team that at that point in the season, we didn't know what that Atlanta team was.
Right.
We've seen that Atlanta team, at least that defense.
Yep.
It's legit.
Yeah.
They're a good defense. And so, yeah, he looked rough, but he didn't do it against a mediocre defense,
Exactly.
So and if he actually did get hurt in the third quarter in that game, like they said he did with his ankle.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sorry if you guys know anything about an ankle injury, but you have to walk. So it probably hurts to run around with an ankle injury.
Yeah. It doesn't matter which angle it is, especially when you're quarterback. You have to be able to move fluently, and there can't be any type of pain at all. So any slight twinge is going to throw you off on your throw.
100%. And so I think it'll be interesting to see, obviously the return of him, and with the Lions coming off a bye, I do like the chances of the Lions at home here.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, but this would be one of those statement victories if Minnesota could somehow shock the world.
Yep.
Go on the road, beat the Lions.
Yep.
J.J. McCarthy solidifies, okay, I am the quarterback of the future. So we'll see when we talk about this next week what that looks like.
Here's what's interesting. The Lions are actually minus 8.5 on this game.
Okay.
Which is a little bit crazy because of everything we just stated.
Yes.
I mean, we're just seeing J.J. McCarthy come back.
Right.
And like we just mentioned, the first 2 games were meh out of him. I mean, the only real spark we have from him is that fourth quarter of the first game.
Yeah, right.
And so it's like, how are you guys saying that the Lions are minus 8.5?
You think it should be more?
No. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Because, 8.5 is a decent favor.
Right.
But, there's been some speculation that the Lions could be a 2-touchdown favorite in this game, but it's tough to make a line like that.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you really believe it,
Yep.
That's a line you'd take then if you're a Lions fan, if you think they're going to beat them by more than 8.5.
That's right.
So something to monitor going into the weekend if that changes as well.
Yep.
And then I think what we potentially could be a very low scoring game, if not the lowest scoring game of the week, is the Texans against the Broncos. These are the two best defenses in football.
Right. The numbers line up with exactly what you said with a minus 1.5.
1.5. There you go. So very close game. The only thing that could throw that off is honestly how good Denver's offense has been. These last 3 weeks, they've been putting up 40 points. We'll see how this game unfolds. The Texans defense has been really good this year. I mean, the only thing they've been lacking is just turning the ball over, creating turnovers, but they've really been stout otherwise. But that'll be fun to watch because, this Broncos team is right now on fire. They're an AFC contender. They're definitely a playoff team in my book. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Texans are as well, being that they're in a very tough division with a 7-1 Colts team.
Right.
Speaking of the 7-1 Colts,
here we go.
The Steelers will take on the Colts.
Yeah, they will.
And what we believe is a game that has way more playoff implications than one would have predicted.
That's crazy. I mean, just given their stats on the season, like Indianapolis is far superior to the Steelers in every aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Rushing yards, passing yards, points per game, yards per game.
Who would have thought Daniel Jones would have outplayed Aaron Rodgers at this point in the season at quarterback?
Yeah.
But the 7-1 Colts are legit contenders, and against that really bad Steelers defense, I like their chances.
3.5.
3.5. I'm smashing that.
Yep.
I think they're smashing that this week. I mean, we saw them this last week. They just rinsed the Titans, but I think the Colts are a legit team. We'll see. The Steelers are battle tested though, so it'll be a good game either way, nonetheless. But Jonathan Taylor is him.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
the Colts are leading their division too.
Handily.
Yeah, quite handily.
Yes.
So they've got another kind of one of those crappy divisions that doesn't make it difficult to look really good.
Right. I mean, but also you still got to win the games.
Right.
So we'll see. But the in the aforementioned AFC North and NFC North matchup here.
I have to do it. It's the Bears.
Yes. And they're the Bengals are hosting the Bears in this one. I think this ends up being another shootout. We've kind of called a couple of these in the past, and both of these, in my opinion, are must-win games for both of these teams.
Right.
So, like, one way or another, this changes the playoff trajectory for these teams for the foreseeable future.
Sure.
In the two divisions they play, the Bengals cannot continue to lose these close games in the shootouts, and then the Bears in a division in the NFC that is just stacked.
Right.
Like the Vikings are by far a way better team than their record shows, and the Bears, are in third in a division where they're behind two legit Super Bowl contenders in Detroit and Green Bay.
Yep.
So you got to win the ones that you're supposed to win.
Exactly.
So it'll be a fun one to watch. It'll be Caleb Williams versus Joe Flacco in a shootout. It's going to be fun.
See, now that's interesting there as well.
Right.
Where the Bears on paper ranked way higher as far as like their ranking in yards per game, passing yards, rushing yards, all those things. But
Bengals are favored.
No, the Chicago's favored.
Okay.
But now the Bengals have Joe Flacco. So the beginning of the season, they didn't have those passing yards that they've been obviously getting these last couple games. So those numbers are down.
Yeah.
So these aren't even really something to really go off of because now you have a new quarterback and you're
totally different.
Making his connections to his favorite target nonstop.
Right. I mean, it's been insane. And
so like you said, this is going to be a game where it's going to be tight and entertaining.
Yeah, it's going to be entertaining. You're going to want to watch it if you can mix it in with your
the other 7 games going on.
But, we'll see. There's one game that I know you're going to be watching because it's one of the few games in the afternoon slate.
Oh, there we go.
And I believe whenever these two teams play, it doesn't matter what happens. Always something ridiculous, crazy, ruling, reffing, flag, penalty, something nuts happens when the Bills take on the Chiefs.
And it's going to be tight.
And it's in Buffalo.
According to the numbers, it's going to be tight. And it's in Buffalo.
Whenever anything's in Buffalo, you never know what's going to happen. Yep. I mean, and we don't know. They could have snow this week. We have no, you know what I mean? Like,
being on the lake, you are up for any type of weather event.
You have no idea. So, like, I think it'll be one of those that this is the game to determine who actually, come playoff time, is going to have the highest seed, I believe.
Right.
Like, the only team that actually has the ability to have some contest to that would be the Colts.
Yep.
Just based on the record and who they play. But this could be one of those deciding games in terms of the playoff seeding, because, like, come playoff time, if you have to play in Buffalo versus playing in Kansas City, that's a big advantage.
Huge.
You know, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I mean, I've never been a Bills believer. I've never been a Bills believer because I've not been a Sean McDermott guy. But if they lean on the run game, that's how you win the football game. And James Cook has been super good this year. And when they abandon James Cook, they've not looked good. So if they can do that somehow and keep this game close in Buffalo, I like their chances.
Everything's super close, even on the offense and defensive stats and stuff like that. They're
they're neck
equally
and neck.
matched.
Crazy. Obviously the run game for Buffalo is better than the run game for Kansas City.
Yep.
But Mahomes has been electric through the air.
Right.
And the Bills secondary, not very great.
Yeah.
You know, so it's going to be
that's going to be crazy.
It's going to be a fun matchup. I mean, definitely going to be tuned in, locked in. Game of the week, calling it now. It's a lock.
Ding, ding, ding. Yep. We need to make a big game of the week.
Game of the week. Yeah.
Josh's prediction.
Yeah.
Game of the week.
But yeah, that would be one for sure. But and one that probably following that might not be as competitive. We'll see what Jaden Daniels' injury status is prior to Sunday. But you have the Commanders team hosting a Seahawks team coming off a bye.
Good old Sea Chickens, well rested.
They've had a hot start. You know, most people didn't predict them to come out as firing as they have. I mean, Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith, and Jigba have been phenomenal. Their connection's been great. This can be a very good competitive game. I just don't know necessarily what our status is in terms of comparing the teams because we don't know with the injury.
Right.
But if we get more information as this week rolls on, we'll know. But if Jaden Daniels is in there, I think they could have a chance to get one here. But with Marcus Mariota, as we saw on Monday night, it's definitely a steep drop-off in terms of production.
Right.
And Terry McLaurin's injury will be interesting to monitor as well.
Hot dang.
Yeah. And then
Monday Night Football.
Not America's game of the week, but probably America's team. And for most people, you got the Dallas Cowboys hosting the Arizona Cardinals.
There they are.
This will be the return of Kyler Murray.
Really?
For the Cardinals. He is making his return from injury following the bye. And honestly, a must-win game for both teams, but for sure on the Cowboys side to stay in that NFC East race.
Dallas is looking pretty favored here.
You got to think so. At home against the Cardinals. But here's the thing that people don't talk about enough when it comes to these things in the NFL. There is some history with regards to guys playing where they grew up.
Oh, sure.
Kyler Murray's Texas born and bred guy, you know, and that's where he played high school football, and he was one of the most dominant high school football players ever. Yeah. And he played in the Dallas Cowboy Stadium for the state championships.
There you go.
All those years.
Yep.
He dominated when he played in that stadium.
He knows the space.
He knows the space. For whatever reason, there's like this good omen for him playing in Dallas. Yeah. And this is one of those games Dallas should be favored to smoke them, should win the game. Watch out, because Kyler Murray has a chance to shock people on Monday night, and if you got him in fantasy, he's probably going to, win you a lot of leagues because Dallas pass defense is awful.
That's right.
They are very, very bad. Trey McBride, big game coming. Marvin Harrison calling it now, big game coming. And Kyler's going to be, if he's healthy, good to go, 100%, he's going to have himself a nice night on Monday.
Dallas's stats on defense is 31st. In the league.
31st in the league overall, 32nd against the pass. It's just honestly not good. And points allowed, I think they might be one. They might be the worst. Yeah. Most points given up. So not ideal.
No.
So, yeah.
Dang. There it is. That's not all of the
not all.
billion games that are happening this weekend, but they're the ones we're most excited about.
Yeah, ones with the most implications on what's going to happen as the season progresses.
Exactly.
There'll be other ones we'll highlight maybe next week that shocked us that we didn't cover.
Yep.
But either way, those are the ones I'm tuning into or looking forward to.
And we called the game of the week. So
yes, we did. So lock it in.
We'll see you next week if we were right. All right. Before we get into fantasy,
Sure.
we like to take a quick second and pour ourselves a drink
Yes.
because it is, sports and spirits. Like we mentioned earlier in the episode, this is the Double Oaked Rye from Pursuit United. This one is coming in at 108 proof as well. Like if you watched our previous episode on the regular Double Oaked bourbon.
Yep.
This is a Kentucky Bourbon Festival 2025 exclusive.
Okay.
You could only get it there.
Okay.
So it's an interesting pickle for sure.
Okay. And what'd you say our proof point is?
We're at 108.
Okay.
Again, like we said in the last episode, they're very transparent in what they use. They use Bardstown Bourbon Company, a 95.5 rye,
Okay.
and then Sagamore Spirits, which we're big fans of.
Yeah.
One of our first episodes was the Sagamore 10-year, and we loved it.
It was phenomenal.
If we were to do a top 5 ryes of the year, that would definitely be on the list.
Yeah, it's a lock.
Yeah.
Top 5 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I don't know what it'd be 1 through 5. We'd have to do some thinking
we'll
on
have
that.
to do a blind on it.
Not to do a blind up, but it'd definitely be in the 5.
But they have a Sagamore in this blend at 52% rye, 43% corn, and 5% malted barley, and then another Sagamore Spirits at a 95.5 rye.
95.5. Okay.
Yep. So there you have that one.
Wow, it's actually got a very nice nose on it.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. Now, 108 proof is
Yep.
kind of the sweet spot for me.
Yeah.
I like that. I do like when you get into the higher proofs, like the 115 plus.
Yep.
If you aren't blending those ones correctly, they can go off the rails pretty easily. We'll have the sharp edges. I'm more of the guy that likes that kind of rounded bourbon mouthfeel or that rye mouthfeel, which is why rye isn't generally my go-to, but Sagamore does it right.
Right. It's very similar to, we actually have a collaboration 101 Wild Turkey Rye store pick at 7 Ace.
You should go pick it up.
Go pick it up. Yeah, we'll still have it, but it's got those bourbon notes to a rye that if you're a bourbon drinker, it actually gravitates you towards it versus if you're a rye drinker, you wouldn't be like, oh, maybe not my jam, but it covers both avenues, which is phenomenal.
Because it doesn't have those harsh edges that I'm talking about. It's like a lot of rye has those spices that are like, whoa, that's a lot on my palate. And it's a little bit sharper. It's a little bit more,
It's also got a crazy amount of like spice and burn finish that I don't as much as I just don't really enjoy and as a preference.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Which this Wild Turkey 101 at 7 Ace is not that. It's very rounded.
Yeah,
very, like he was saying, it's more on that bourbon side.
Perfect,
it's got a
perfect
really
for the
beautiful
winter.
sweet note. Yes. Oh my gosh. Right now, with all the outdoor campfires being lit, this is the one to keep you even warmer around the campfire, but without the crazy burn and spice.
Right. All right. So back on this one here.
This is another one. Ooh, fruit.
Yeah, it's very fruit.
I have not gotten that kind of a fruit from a rye before. It's got that bourbon fruit, like
a slight, like a pear.
yeah, exactly like a pear. Yes, that's crazy.
It's got a little of that spice finish.
Yep.
But it's subtle to it, but then it lingers.
It has a lingering spice.
It does have a lingering spice.
This one isn't as rounded and smooth as that Sagamore 10-year, but it is not as harsh as other ryes that I've had.
Correct.
Like sometimes, speaking of those Wild Turkey 101s,
Yes.
the rye, you can get those ones where they've got some bite to them.
Yeah.
Like the regular shelf version of it.
Oh,
where
yeah,
you
yeah,
just pull it off the shelf and it's like,
Oof.
this is a rye. Yep.
Yeah. Whereas ours was
Purposely picked for its ability to appeal to a wider audience.
100%. Yes.
So again, go check out the collaboration pick between Rare Barrel Whiskey and 7 Ace Liquor down in Bloomington. It is a banger and definitely worth picking up. And I'm guessing it's going to be gone here very soon because, well, holidays.
Yeah.
There you have it. That's the spirit of the weekend. Let's get back into some fantasy football.
Let's do it. Yeah. So when it comes to fantasy football, first thing you always have to address the teams that are on bye. You have the Browns, the Eagles, the Jets, and the Bucks. So some good players, some not so influential players on these teams. I mean, the Browns don't have a ton of fantasy value. I mean, maybe a tight end, a Fannin, and Quinshon Judkins, and then the Eagles obviously riddled with a bunch of talent. Between Hurts, Devontae Smith. So keep an eye on those guys on your team. Obviously, please check your lineups. Let's take those guys out. Let's lock in somebody else that's on your bench.
Right.
But yeah, we got to first start with the return of the 3 quarterbacks to their teams. So you got to go with Lamar for the Ravens against the Dolphins. Let's put him in our lineup if he's good to go. Kyler for the Cardinals against the Cowboys.
Yep.
Absolutely love the matchup. The softest matchup in football this year. So it's a perfect one for him to get right as he's getting healthy. And then lastly, you got J.J. McCarthy for the Vikings against Detroit.
Get ready.
This is a tough one to determine what your confidence level is for a guy like this. And
as far as J.J.
As far as J.J., in a single quarterback league, I would say I would hold off on him. But in a super flex league, I like the idea of he could have a boom game because in the worst case scenario in this game, they get blown up in terms of the score.
Yep.
They're going to play a lot of prevent defense to allow them to get back into the game, throwing through the air. And so there could be an ability for him to get a bunch of garbage time fantasy points.
Yep.
Hopefully he's not your starter in a one QB league because there's probably a better option out there.
Right.
At least, or you could at least try to make a trade for one because a superstar quarterback's really important for fantasy success.
No diggity.
Yes. So yeah, here we're at. We've talked about this in the past. We just got to the point where about the mid-season of fantasy football. We're 8 weeks through. You probably have about a week, maybe 2 weeks, depending on your league.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky, to make a trade.
Yep.
So you got to obviously check with your roster settings, see where the trade deadline is. Everybody's league different, but this is where I would start to look at players' matchups in the playoffs if you can. So the thing that I've learned in years past, and unfortunately even on a couple of my teams this year, is that the guys that have driven me to the playoffs have cost me the playoffs.
Oh, really?
If that makes sense, So sometimes it's better to have guys that have a favorable playoff matchup if you think your team's good enough to get there, if their schedule right now is not good.
Got it.
Because when it comes to those 3-4 weeks of that fantasy playoffs that you have your teams going, well, if they're playing the worst or the toughest defenses in football, well, you're not going to score a ton of points, and that's when it matters.
Right.
It's win or go home in the playoffs. If you win your matchup in week 11, because your team goes off for 200 points or whatever, well, great. You won. But then when you score 111 points in their fantasy semifinal, you're like, oh, well, I just missed out on a chance at the championship because I didn't make this trade. So be aggressive. I've made some trades for some high-end players. I've given up depth pieces to do it. We'll see if it pays off for me. I mean, that's just the strategy that I like. And that's more or less what I want to mention. If you're a 7-1, 6-2 team, even,
right?
You're having a great start to the year. Trade your depth players for those superstars to help that if you can afford it, to make a deep playoff run, or if not, win the whole dang thing, win a fantasy championship. Because at the end of the day, you're playing fantasy football not to make the playoffs.
Right.
You're not winning any glory. You're not winning anything.
Nope.
You want to win the whole thing. You want the kit can caboodle. You want the full thing.
In fact, if you don't win the whole thing in fantasy, generally speaking, you're going to get ridiculed even more.
Yeah, even second place, you're the first loser.
Exactly.
If you're not going for it all, I mean, what are you playing fantasy football for?
That's right. I'm going for the lowest score
possible.
You cannot argue that. Okay? Nobody's
gonna contest. But yeah, so I mean, it's tough. I mean, obviously, we can highlight certain players that have strong matchups. I mean, if you have any opportunity to still acquire Puka Nacua, he's got the softest wide receiver schedule in terms of in the fantasy playoffs. So Devontae Adams or Puka Nacua are very good targets there. Running backs, McCaffrey just had his worst week of the season. He scored just under 10 points, but otherwise he's averaged 22 points per game. If you can somehow manage to acquire him, he has the softest running back schedule for the fantasy championship, or playoff run, we'll say. So if he remains healthy the rest of the way, if you have him on your team, he's going to take you the distance because he's going to put up 20 to 25, if not 30 points every given week come playoff time.
Right.
And so obviously we're talking about 2 legit superstars, might be tough to get rid of, but if you could trade away, a legit number 1 and a backup piece to get it off a team that's struggling, that needs to win now, do it. That would be the way to, give yourself a chance to win the whole thing.
Right.
So there's at the end of the season, you don't want to live with regrets. In
That's
terms
what
of
I'm
not
going to be
trying.
doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to be living with a lot of regrets.
Yeah.
Mostly due to my draft picks.
Yeah.
Didn't have anything to do with anything else.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
There you have it.
Yeah.
That's fantasy.
Yeah.
Leave some comments below. Let us know what your league is looking like, what your team is looking like, and what trades you're looking to maybe make here.
Yeah. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot them. See if it's something we think is a good plan for you or not. And we'll give you our best advice if we can.
That's right. But it's time for them feeder teams.
Yeah.
The NCAA football.
Yes.
Tons of games happening this week.
Yes.
Tons and tons of games.
Yep. Oh, shoot. I didn't put it in there. It's not in there.
What is it?
The games.
Oh, really?
Hold on. I'm sure you can just cut that.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew I was missing a section. It felt weird.
You got Virginia, UNC, South Florida, Memphis, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma. Oh, this is last week. Wait. Yeah.
I got it.
Okay.
I'll make it up on the fly here. All right. Here we go. Let's do it.
Tons and tons of
games.
Okay. So many games.
Yes, on the college football slate here. We'll start off. First of all, you got number 9, Vandy. Going on the road, taking on number 20, Texas.
The Horns.
So, this is going to be another one of those big games that, determines are these teams going to make it into the playoffs, because obviously when it comes down to the backstretch of the year, you can't continue to stack losses and still make the top 12.
Right.
So this might be Texas's last chance, in terms of, proving that they're a legit contender to, sneak into that playoff, at least on the backside.
Here's the other thing. Again, there's a lot of games happening at 11 a.m. Okay.
Yes.
This guy here has 8 TV screens in his basement. He just sits there and nerds out.
I'll be locked in. I'll make sure
He's
I
gonna
got
be
some
catching
coverage.
it all.
Yeah, I got you guys. And then another one just to highlight, just because they're kind of on that bubble, Texas Tech. They've been talked about in the space as the team that spent the most money on the NIL space for their team this year.
Yep. Is there a cap on that?
Unfortunately, that's the issue. There's not. So, at some point, you have to assume something will be put in place, but we don't know what this space looks like yet.
Right.
And so...
Because that's only been a thing for, the last 5 years?
I think it passed during during the COVID time, so around 2020, 2021, something like that. We'll see what that happens. But Texas Tech plays Kansas State. Kansas State's a better team than the record shows. They were, a ranked team to start the year, and so
Kansas.
Yeah, so they'll put up a good fight. That'll be one that'll be interesting to watch because there could be a shocker upset there. I think Texas Tech's only favored like 7.5, I believe, and so that'll be one to see, one to watch, to look out for anyway.
If you thought there was a lot of games at 11, there's even more games between 2 and 2:45. So, this is where the 8 screens come in handy.
Yes, this does. And then I guess the battle. I guess we call it of the border, but I call it the battle of the 2 teams I hate the most: Georgia versus Florida. Just not necessarily one that I'm going to be super pumped to watch, but definitely will have to note. But number 5 ranked Georgia should get the win here on the road in the swamp. But Florida has shocked some people at home.
Yep.
So they play competitive at home. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
They're kind of one of those teams that have been up and down, right?
Yeah. Obviously they let go of their coach.
Yep.
So that doesn't usually bode well for team success or morale. But hey, you know what? We're here and it's happening. So
why is that? I can see it and I can't see it.
In terms of what?
Letting go your coach halfway through the year.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that go into it, right? So obviously these guys, they're either not getting the job done or whatever, but it's changing the mentality that the program itself is not going to continue to put up with that level of failure.
Sure.
And so it's showing your recruits that are coming in the future, your players that we're not going to allow this being the only way things are done.
Sure.
That's not the expectation. It's tough. I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on everybody in the program,
Right.
you know, not having a guy at the helm. You know, obviously you hire an interim guy within the program, but he just obviously wasn't the answer.
Right.
And they usually give them a lump sum of money in order to not coach too. You know, you'll see these staggering numbers of these coaches getting 25, 40, 50, 60 million, you know,
It's crazy just to not coach.
Well, it's guaranteed money.
Right.
That's the thing that it's in this industry that's so crazy to me is that like these guys will get these contracts and then 4 years later be like, oh wait, why do we give him a contract?
Yeah.
Like, he's not good. Like, but
that's the thing that's crazy too, is like in most other industries, you don't get a guaranteed $60 million. You have to work for it.
Oh yeah. Even some of the NFL guys, you know, only like 70% of their contracts are guaranteed because just injury prevention. Yeah, you know. So
I mean, I guess with some of these guys, guaranteeing some of the contracts just for their name alone is. I mean, that makes sense because their name's going to bring them a bunch of money.
Right.
I mean, recognition.
Clearly, based on how much they're paying them, that the school's expecting to make just as much in return. Yeah. You know, so they're not hoping to lose money by paying him $10 million.
Exactly.
And then obviously a game to watch out for, as we've talked about, the up and down battle tested Ole Miss team. 7th ranked Ole Miss hosting South Carolina. South Carolina took Alabama to their brink this past week. Yeah. This is one where, you know, with their quarterback, you know, being an NFL guy, this could be one that South Carolina shocks people. You know, I mean, it wouldn't even be that shocking to me. Right. Like, I think they're a better team than their record shows.
They would shock other people.
They would shock a lot of other people, but maybe not me. But I think that they could beat Ole Miss. I think they could, but we'll see. I mean, Ole Miss, that they go 50-50. It's like a coin flip every week what you're going to see from them.
Well, if they gave Bama a run for their money, then you would think that they 100%. Could.
Yeah, I do agree. And then another SEC matchup, you got 14th ranked Tennessee hosting 18th ranked Oklahoma. For both of these teams, without a doubt, it's going to come down to a field goal. I think this spread's probably like 3.5, 4 points.
Tight game.
But it's going to be the one that determines, can they be like the 11th or 12th team in that playoff format? You know, because another loss for both these teams is probably going to eliminate them from that top 12. Sure. You know, because we're getting to a point now where we're expected to see at least 2 lost teams, probably teams with 2 losses make a playoff team, if not a couple of them this year, just because the league's so balanced. And one of these teams will get in, barring that victory there to this week.
Wow.
So yeah, that's kind of what I got for you this week on college football.
There you have it, off the top of the dome.
Yes, sir.
That's how we roll here.
Yes,
but we're not done rolling.
Yeah, because
we're going to cover a MLB that is on its way to not rolling anymore.
Yeah, there's a good chance, you know, whether this, you know, ends up being our last talking point here on the MLB or not. You know, we don't know as of
could it go all 7 games?
We'll see. Either way, if it happens, you'd see Game 6 on Friday night and Game 7 would be on Saturday, both in Toronto. I don't see it happening. It just depends, but we'll see. By the time you're watching this, we'll have a conclusion to Game 5, so maybe we're, you know, seeing the conclusion of it already happening. So, but we'll see what happens. I do think that, you know, we see Game 6 potentially and the Dodgers win Game 6. I think that's what the MLB would want, more games in the World Series.
Obviously.
So if they can make that happen, that'd be nice, but we'll see. I mean, that pitching staff for the Dodgers is legit. So
that's the biggest question, right? Is it experience that's going to win over?
Tends to have that advantage. It tends to have the advantage for sure. I mean,
like what do we talk about in the last forecast episode? This is the Jays' first time back to the World Series in
20 something years, something like that. It's 23 years, maybe something like that, if not more.
And the Dodgers were just there.
Yeah, last year they won it all.
Experience. Versus.
Plus, you have like the best player to play baseball. And he's playing like he is. You know, so it's tough. You know, throw him anything over the middle, seems to be a home run.
Yes, sir.
So, and that's kind of it in terms of the MLB. We'll, you know, maybe dive into it next week in regards to the conclusion, wrap it up on the season. But it was a fun one either way.
Let's hit some hoops.
Yeah, let's talk some NBA.
What do we got coming up this week?
Yeah, so we got a few games. Obviously, there's way more than we're going to talk about today. Yeah. I mean, we can't actually physically highlight every single game because otherwise we would be here all day. But let's kind of talk about some of the games that I would describe as marquee matchups So tonight, as you're watching this, you'll have the Bucks hosting the Golden State Warriors in a matchup of two teams that have been hot. I mean, as expected, these are two teams that have been playoff caliber teams for the last, let's say decade. Some would say that there's always going to be that discussion. If you know anything about the whole Giannis ordeal, is that the Giannis was always talked about as being a rumored trade candidate to the Golden State Warriors. That was always their dream partner with Steph Curry. So whenever they play each other, that's always talked about. Yeah. So I feel like I would not be doing it any service if I didn't at least mention that. But we'll see. That Warriors have a really good bench, and they're deep again. I mean, they have an old roster. They're the old spirited soul men.
Bunch of old bogeys.
I mean, it's their starting rosters like average age is like 35. Woo. It's like actually crazy, but it's kind of cool to see those guys still hooping, and we'll see what that matchup holds tonight.
Dang, that's crazy and exciting.
Yeah.
Old guys against young guys. That's always the ongoing battle.
100% always is. It's a war of attrition.
Yep.
So here we are on Friday night. So tomorrow,
a lot of games.
Yeah, you will see the first round of the NBA Cup group play. So if you guys don't know anything about this,
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, so this will be year 3 of the NBA Commissioner's Cup, and basically what happens is each team's put into a pool in which they play each team in their pool, and then at the conclusion of the pool play, the winners of their pool will then make it into the bracket tournament. Yeah. And then there'll also be 2 additional wild card teams to then that'll give you your 8 teams that make it into the Commissioner Cup bracket. And they play for the in-season tournament championship, which is the Commissioner Cup, which will be concluded as we progress with this podcast, because these games are pretty sporadic. They're random in terms of when these group plays. So we'll highlight those specific days in which we have the Commissioner Cup games and like those matchups to look out for in terms of their actual within divisions. We'll talk about them as we progress. Obviously, this is the first set, so we don't necessarily know, who's the teams to look out for. It's the same teams that you expect, like that are favorite to win in any game, are the ones always to look out for. Yep. So we don't need to highlight that necessarily, but just be aware that all those games on Friday have a little more meaning than your normal regular season game. So if you can tune into any of them, try to. Yeah.
There's a lot of them. There's 8 games.
Yes. Yep. So
starting at 6, going all the way till 9.
Yep.
9:30,
which is about midnight by the time they're concluded.
Right.
Yeah. And then a little cool little action here on Saturday.
Here we go.
You got the Detroit Pistons taking on the Dallas Mavericks in Mexico City.
What?
Mexico City, yeah.
Are they doing a little bit of
little international
international growth?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, so this is just an example, as we've seen over the years past with the leagues that are growing, that actually are making money, as in the NFL and now the NBA are trying to grow the game as an international sport. Yep. So the NBA itself is obviously based here in the United States,
but already has international play with Canada.
Well, international play with Canada, but also you have like, EuroLeague, Europe basketball, but they want to establish the NBA as a global brand and not just the U.S. brand, right? Yep. Obviously, Mexico, still in North America. Yeah. But this will be interesting. I will definitely be tuned in to this game just to see the crowd attendance. Yeah. I mean, what does that look like? How is the court conditions? What do they do special for this game? It's going to be interesting. I didn't ever expect to see a game in Mexico City. Right. But definitely don't think there'll ever be an expansion team there.
You don't think so?
I'm just going to make that point. I don't see that being the best plan in terms of logistics. No. I would rather see another maybe team in Canada. Yeah. That would be more my preference. Maybe see an extra team up there other than just Toronto. Right. But yeah, either way, that'll be a cool one to watch on Saturday.
Speaking of expansion, really quick before we go too far into this.
Let's do it.
What about all the sports gambling suspensions from pro athletes in the NBA that happened this last week?
Yeah. So as Steve just mentioned here, we've seen a lot of crazy stuff happen, a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation, a lot of truths come out from some of these guys. Most notably, Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups was...
Which is crazy because he was such a amazing player when he was on,
Made tons of dough.
and he was all about the game.
100%.
And now to see this.
Also, there's some other stuff that came out about him that he was in Vegas.
Yep.
And he was playing with glasses that were like X-ray glasses, so you could see through the card. So he was cheating, and it's like,
are you kidding?
How could you be that strapped for cash?
Exactly.
Like, I just don't understand.
Poor money management.
And then the one on the player side that's been the most talked about, at least on our end or in the public eye, has been Terry Rozier for the Miami Heat. He bet $200,000 on a game in which he had a certain minutes that he needed to play, and he, quote unquote, faked an injury to take himself out of the game so that leg would cash on to make money.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, not only is he tampering with everything logistically, he's basically lying directly to everybody.
Yeah.
And so there's probably going to be way more stuff that comes out over the course of the next couple weeks. And obviously, as we find out more or read more or see more, we'll address it. But yeah, there's already been some guys on the smaller end side that are maybe not as public that have been discussed. But those guys, I guess I would say, makes a little more sense that they would do something like that.
Right.
My whole thing with these guys is the issue is they have no idea how to save their money.
Right.
And that's why they have these problems because they make all this money, but they spend it as soon as they get it.
Yep.
I mean, we all at home would be like, oh God, it'd be awesome to have get a contract of like $20 million a year. Okay. Well, what's the first thing you're doing when you get a contract of $20 million a year? If you're sitting at home, well, you're thinking probably like, why not you spend some of my money I got? The problem is these guys have no idea how to say no to that concept.
Right.
And so,
and it's not even like it's not even always the things like, oh, you see him driving really nice cars.
Sure.
You see him buying really nice houses. It's not even those things necessarily. It's all their friends coming to him saying, I got this killer business idea.
Yes.
And they don't necessarily have business acumen to be like, yeah, that seems like a good idea. Let's invest. They're just like, you're my friend. I'm going to give you money. Let's invest. It's like, that's where a lot of this stuff goes.
They're almost too charitable at times.
Exactly. Yep.
So you just got to watch out for the people that are in your circle.
Right.
You never know who's trying to take advantage of you.
Exactly. Because everybody's looking out for themselves.
Correct.
But back to it.
Yeah, back to we got to talk about Timberwolves.
We really do.
We always
because they're our homeboys.
We always will go Wolves, as you can see.
Yeah.
But the Timberwolves they'll play twice over the weekend. So they will play Saturday night against the Charlotte Hornets, and then they will also play on Monday night against the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, both on the road. So these will be without Anthony Edwards. We've been determined he's out 2 weeks with a hamstring. So expect big games from Naz Reid and Julius Randle.
Yep.
But see guys like, Jalen Clark, Rob Dillingham, Terrence Shannon Jr. get more minutes, or more run, like they like to say in basketball, than in games past or as we would have expected at this part of the season.
Right.
Just because we got to see who can take off. So this gives these guys the opportunity to, as a competitor and a fan of the game, if I'm playing for this team, I want to establish myself as I want to roll on this roster.
Exactly.
This is your opportunity. You got 2 weeks. Ant's out. You're going to play 4 or 5, 6 games maybe with no Ant. Establish yourself as being a key part of making this team win basketball games. And that's what some of these guys on other teams have done. And then you turn those into, okay, now you're actually like a legit player in this league.
Exactly.
All it takes is one opportunity and you establish yourself as a key guy. I think this is where Naz Reid takes a huge step forward.
Sure.
We obviously gave him a huge contract, so we have a lot of faith in him as a player. But if he can start lighting it up on the offensive end in terms of getting, 20, 25 points a game like he did last year, that's going to help us a lot. But Terrence Shannon has got to be huge. I think he's the guy that can create his own shot that some of these other guys on our roster don't have the ability to that Ant did. So that'd be one thing to watch out for. Either way, it's going to be Timberwolves basketball. We're going to tune it in and we'll see.
Use this time to attract the spotlight that isn't currently out there.
100%. You want to set yourself apart from everyone else.
Yep. All right, we might as well do a quick NHL spotlight. Yeah. Again, like the NBA. Can't cover everything.
No.
Eventually, we'd like to go to. We're putting out a podcast about the NBA. We're putting out a podcast about the NFL, the NHL, all that type of stuff. But humble beginnings. We got to start somewhere.
Plus, if you guys want to see anything specific in regards to either one of these, or if there's, you're loyal to listen to us, what teams you want us to cover.
Yep.
Feel free to let us know. I can make sure we can highlight them throughout the podcast and
Put it
everything.
in the comments.
Yeah, just let us know. Otherwise, we're kind of just going to cover like the big matchups, and then obviously anything local wise, just because that's what's in our minds and what we're watching.
Yep.
So yeah, tonight as you're watching this, you got the Minnesota Wild.
Let's go.
Hosting the Pittsburgh Penguins.
The old Penguins, eh?
It's for me, every time I watch these two teams play,
Yeah.
it just it's one of those like
You seen the
nostalgic
field?
like hockey games with
There we go.
Sidney Crosby,
Yep.
Evgeny Malkin.
Yep.
Guys that I watched my whole life
Yep.
that have played for so long, because I, unlike other people, really appreciate and understand what these veteran players have a role in this league for.
Yep.
And so without these guys, these newcomers that come in don't have anywhere to go.
Right.
If the league doesn't grow, you don't have these new guys that can come in and be special, right?
Yep.
And so you got to give props to them. They've been doing it for a long time. They've been really successful. And every time you get a chance to watch them, just enjoy it, because guys like them and obviously Alexander Ovechkin, as we've covered in the past, aren't going to be around forever.
Exactly.
And he's been hot. He's been hot to start this year too. He's lighting the lamp too. So it's fun to see.
Which is crazy and awesome, like you said, awesome to see, because veterans like that who are putting up historic numbers
Yes.
are doing such good things for the sport and
Yes.
just continuing to grow it. But like you said, if they aren't doing that, if they aren't being that positive person, that team player for the entire NHL, then
Right.
there's a whole league that could just go under.
100%.
But we haven't seen that.
Nope.
We've seen nothing but growth there.
Yeah, for at least
Bigger
in the
contracts,
the
bigger-
NHL has been growing like
Yeah.
crazy, which is great. I'm glad to see it. I mean, it's still a weird concept that some of the best teams in the NHL are in the warmest climates on the
right?
planet, as we've talked. But here we are.
It's a mental state, right?
Yeah.
It's like you come up here and you have the winter months, we call that seasonal depression up
Yes,
here.
yes.
But down there, you always have the beach.
Correct. Yeah, and then on Friday night, you'll see the Las Vegas Golden Knights, warm climate,
Yeah.
host the Colorado Avalanche. This is probably my favorite matchup going into the weekend that I'm going to be looking out for.
Here we go.
These two powerhouse teams, as we've addressed, I just really like their odds, and they've been really successful this last, let's just say 5 years, just to keep it simple.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a battle. I mean, whenever these teams get together, it's always a close one.
It's going to be a Tandy duel.
I think so. I think it'll be a Tendy duel. You got some really high caliber goaltenders in both those matchups, so I expect it to be a dogfight, a lot of fights. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a fight or two. It's gonna be
old school NHL,
hockey.
baby.
It's gonna be awesome, man. But yeah, then leading into Saturday night, you'll see the Wild host the Vancouver Canucks in the second game of their homestand. This should be a game that I like our chances a little bit more than the Penguins. But you know what? The Wild seem to disappoint and excite us at the same time.
Yeah.
They win the games they're not supposed to, and then they lose the ones they should win.
Right.
It's
crazy. Which
and-
maybe plays to where their mental state is at. Yeah, we're going to win this one.
Yeah,
They don't put it in the... But
Right.
they'll argue, listen, I put in the same amount of prep every time, no matter
Correct.
what. It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then one last one to highlight, just because I got to talk about their hot start is on Sunday. You'll see the Utah Mammoth. Yeah, their mascot's pretty cool. Have you seen it? It's pretty wicked.
Yeah.
I love it a lot. And then the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah, what a cool hockey name.
Yep.
But with help of Minnesota Golden Gopher, Logan Cooley, the Mammoth are off to a hot start.
There we go.
So just have to give props to the Minnesota guy in the group. And
We gotta show the connections where we can.
yeah. So that was that's kind of the ones that we think are going to be the ones to tune out, or at least on those given days. Obviously, there's a way more games going on. So if you support a different team, obviously tune into your team's matchups. If you have any of them that you want us to talk about, let us know.
Yep.
But that's your NHL forecast for the weekend.
That is actually our entire sports forecast for the weekend. Lots going on.
Yeah,
Lots of games.
100%.
You are not without some type of sports entertainment for the next 7 days easily.
Oh yeah, you should get your fix in.
Yep. So, with that being said, thanks a billion for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world to us.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
We'll see you in the next one. Peace.